I don't know if we can say the last name without getting pinged on things, but
the man himself.
Yeah. What's what they say? It's like, you guys follow a man who can't even grow a full mustache.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Pointless Discourse with myself, Hoppocalypse, and Itisdpayne.
Oh, hello there. Isn't it cool to be... Never mind, I can't say that.
Yeah, it's not cool, actually. That's kind of the point of the movie in some
I feel
ways.
like there's some awkward energy between us.
But yeah, if you haven't already read the title, Itisdpayne's German accent is not from nowhere. It's in fact related to the movie we watched this week to wrap up my birthday month.
Yes, it was... You know what? This was an enjoyable birthday month. It wasn't mine, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, it is kind of funny going... I mean, we joked about the set of movies we'll be watching after this one and how the vibes are totally different. But also for your birthday month, the vibes for that were really different. But the thing I was going to joke about is that we both said that we're not really into like those huge like war movies. Like a lot of famous directors are listed as having done a lot of those like big war movies like Saving Private Ryan, Hunt for Red October, Apocalypse Now, like all of those. Like a lot of directors are notorious for those, but we were like, no war movies. Both in our birthday months, we've watched movies about wars.
Sometimes there's just something good about them. Like, I don't know. What... I think, both of them that stood out are one, Ip Man was they both were World War II movies.
Different parts of World War II.
Different parts and totally different energy.
Totally different perspectives, yeah.
Yes. But I don't know. I remember, what was it? History class or it's funny to me. Where I feel like World War II gets the Batman treatment in movies, where Batman is just like, everyone likes Batman and he has like really well written villains and all this other stuff, and so all these movies and fanfare get given to him. And World War II is just kind of a little bit of the same, where it's just like, hey, we get all these movies and a lot of them aren't like, well, the two that we like, Ip Man or Jojo Rabbit, a lot of them are like, that's right, we Americans really showed those Nazis. And it's like, we also came in at the tail end of the war when everyone was tired.
Yeah, well, Ip Man 1 doesn't really discuss Americans' intervention yet. Ip Man 3? 4?
4.
4 is when the Americans come into play.
Yep. To be fair, though, they go to America. It's not like America went to China in that movie.
Yeah, because you were saying that like both the movies were Hoorah America. I was like, I don't think Ip Man was really... Ip Man had the Disneyification of America. Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't saying these two movies are. I was saying a lot of other World War II movies are a lot of, look how cool America is in this.
Yeah. Jojo Rabbit did it sarcastically, but a lot of Jojo Rabbit, which is the movie we'll be discussing in this episode, is the bits where they're all greeting each other for 5 minutes straight. I couldn't stop laughing.
Same here. There's so many parts that I'm pretty sure we're gonna get into that I'm just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm not gonna quote a lot of this movie. I'm not gonna read a lot of quotes from this movie.
I will. I'm allowed now.
I was gonna say it's actually extra funny for me because Strider has been playing through the new Indiana Jones game.
Okay.
And a lot of that is also set. That one is set in the beginning part of Nazi occupation, I believe. So that one, he's like, he's undercover in the uniform, and they keep saying the same greeting. And him and I are like trying to joke about it, but we're both like, how do we make the joke without saying it? Because we don't want to say the phrase. We're like, but
and then Jojo Rabbit's just
5 minutes straight. But afterwards, like, I did message Itisdpayne this, and we can get into it when we actually go into like spoiler town in a little bit. But a lot of the other Taika movies I keep getting, other than What We Do in the Shadows, but the other two coming of age films, I'm like, I'm about to cry, but I'm not quite there yet. I did cry, and I wasn't expecting to cry over the character that I did, and I'm sure you can tell already. You already know that actor is just a good actor.
Taika?
No. I did not cry over that character. Sam Rockwell, I think, is the actor's name.
Yes, yeah.
I think I was gonna say I really enjoyed him as well. Somebody recommended me the sci-fi movie he's in. Did you recommend that to us? Where it's he's working as like an engineer in a moon base, and then there's like a twist in it. I'm not gonna say what the twist is because the twist is kind of like the whole point of the movie. It's like moon something.
Yes, I did suggest that one. I forgot he's in that movie. But yes.
He's in it. Oh, I can't say. I can't say it. It's a spoiler. I was going to make a joke.
Yes. If you guys haven't watched Moon, don't look anything up. Just go watch it. It is a good sci-fi movie.
About people and not necessarily science fiction.
Yeah. I guess it's safe to say it is a good sci-fi horror.
Yeah, it's got good tense moments.
Yeah, I was like, how can I say this without spoiling things? So, no, definitely worth a watch. Actually, I think the director for that I was thinking about putting on the list, but I don't think he has enough movies or
for us to do a full month.
Yeah, I couldn't remember, but anyway, what did we're after this episode, we're halfway through.
Yeah.
Wow.
We'll have finished 5 full months of watching directors for the Legendary Director series, of which we are number 1 in our Legendary Director series.
Yes, number 1, baby.
If you need to know the lore on that, listen to... I think that was last week's episode.
That was last week's episode,
with the email that we received.
We got a lot of emails. We never respond to any of them. Because a lot of them are like, hey, would you like to have your podcast promoted on our AI website program? Would you
like to pay us for you to get bigger numbers from not real listens? It's like, not really. No, I don't think so.
But I do like it when they tell me silly things that were ranked number 1. It helps my ego. It was kind of the same thing when we were number 1 in Brazil or something like that.
Or Peru.
Peru.
Yeah.
You know what? Now I'm curious while we're chatting about this. Does Spotify still tell us what country we are listened to in the most?
Yeah, I used to like when the Anchor website, we could sort it. Because I remember one of our not so serious goals was to have a listener in every state. And I think we were missing maybe 4 or 5 states.
Yeah.
And I have no clue how to go back and check it since they've bought Anchor.
Oh, they always owned Anchor.
Did they just take down the analytics?
Yeah, they got
page?
rid of it. Yeah. We don't have enough data anymore on anything.
That's okay.
Yep. We just here for funds.
We just hangs out.
Oop, I didn't mean to click that. Right. Boop. So, but yeah, we're doing that. I always forget. Do we say now? I think we started saying what director we're watching in the beginning for next month. I think we started doing that.
We could do it now. But we can remind people at the end. Oh, right, because in case they turn around and go, I don't want to do Spoiler Town.
Yeah. Okay. So at the end of before we go into Spoiler Town, or we can do it now. I don't know. I feel like we get to this part every month and we're just like,
Might as well announce it now before we start rolling dice and getting into the swing of things.
Yes. Would you like to do the honors?
All right. So next month is quite the departure. We are going... How old are these movies? Were they in the 50s? I know they're black and white.
Yes.
Or at least a good number of them are black and white.
Here, I can find out in 1 second as I quick copy. Search. IMDb. Wait, I could just scroll up here. 63 is one of them. And let's see. What's the oldest one?
I think it's the top one.
Yeah. And so the oldest one as I click through a million tabs. That was in 1950. So it was
I did it.
Yep.
I did it.
Now they do have movies back from 1943. I think this. Oh, this is interesting because we will be getting similar a similar timeline as Ida, but from a different part of the world.
Fascinating.
Go ahead. They're all in suspense.
Yes. So if the clues weren't enough about movies that started in the 40s and continued into the 50s and were in black and were white, we are watching Akira Kurosawa. If you're not familiar, you've probably heard of Seven Samurai. This is the original director of the Seven Samurai, the Japanese version. They're also famous for Rashomon and Yojimbo, as they've gone and inspired a whole lot of movies and a whole lot of animes and a whole lot of genres out of a lot of these films.
Yeah, so we'll be looking forward to that. And I think there was reasoning behind why we put people in certain spots, and I don't remember why anymore. Why we put him now.
In June. I think it's because we thought that our upcoming directors were all going to be closer to horror or surreal. So we were like, let's get everyone that's not horror out of the way. And then we've kind of changed things around, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want to change things around. But would you like to roll dice?
Yes. As soon as I find it. I found it. I'm rolling dice. Singular. Ah, crap.
If you're curious why we're rolling dice, like we said, we're going through our series of watching legendary directors, where we're watching 12 different directors throughout this whole year, and we're rolling 12-sided dice to see who gets to give a short summary and all of that to kick off our discussion of the movie. And this week's is Jojo Rabbit by Taika Waititi. If you are interested in us talking about some of his other movies, we have all the other episodes up at this point. I did not roll well.
Me neither, but what you roll?
A good old 2.
I doubled yours. I rolled a 4.
Man. So I talked during your birthday month and you talked during mine.
Yeah. Well, we want to protect the birthday voice. Yeah. I was like looking at it, I was like, yeah, it's almost a 1-for-1 switch.
Pretty much.
Yep. Now, because one of us already knew how to use Excel. The other one learned because they were very bored at work. And now there's a lot of little colorful options on here. So now we can see.
And numbers.
If for anyone that is keeping track, which is mainly us, Hop is 12/9 for doing the quick reviews. But anyway, let's jump into this. A quick synopsis of Jojo Rabbit. It takes place it's in Germany. Does it say where? I don't think so.
I don't know if it's disclosed where in Germany.
Yeah. But anyway, we have a child, Johannes Jojo Besler, who pretty much is super hardcore Nazi and wants to be a part of pretty much raise up the ranks in there. It's also very important to mention Jojo is 10 years old. So
10 and a half.
10 and a half. And so we follow his journey as he kind of gets kicked out of the Hitler Youth Camp from blowing himself up with a grenade, and him trying to pretty much find how he can contribute to the world. But at the same time, he finds that there is a Jew hiding in his walls, and he is trying to come to terms with this, and all the events surrounding that with his mother and the people that he looks up to, while Taika is
his imaginary friend
Adolf. I don't know if we can say the last name without getting pinged on things, but
The man himself.
Yep. What's the line they say? It's like, you guys follow a man who can't even grow a full mustache.
Yes, this movie, despite its pretty heavy topics and everything like that, does find a way, I think, to be funny without making light of the situation. It's a very satirical movie.
Yes, I'm bringing up the quotes now because there are a lot of good ones.
Be careful.
Oh, I'm not just gonna be like, hey, just say them all right to go. But yes, I'm just getting ready.
Before you get lost in quote town.
I was saving that for later.
Yeah. So questions. If this was the only movie you watched by the director, would you watch the rest of their catalog?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. I don't think this is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I think I do like I'm tied between Hunt for the Wilder People and What We Do in the Shadows as my favorite Taika movie. I believe these 4 were the 4 that we found that weren't part of the Marvel franchises, that are ones he's directed and not just like written or co-produced. But yeah, it's not my favorite, but I do like it a lot.
Yeah, I think What We Do in the Shadows will always hold a special place in my heart for his films, since it was kind of his, I think, introduction to his film style, even though I watched some of the stuff that he helped produce and other stuff. But and then I like the message and the story of Hunt for the Wilder People a lot more. But Jojo Rabbit is like is very close to Wilder People for me.
They are both. I do think it's really impressive that Taika can write coming of age stories that don't, like, I know you said like Boy felt like Lady Bird to you, and I can see that a lot, but it is interesting that these last 2 are both coming of age stories, but they feel very unique. Like, I can't compare them to other coming of age stories I've seen.
Yeah, and I think I said this last episode as well, but Taika is really good with child actors, like
bringing them out to feel like kids. Yeah,
and not being like unbelievable in this, and it's not like weird from what we're seeing, and
it doesn't feel forced.
Yeah, it doesn't feel forced. It's not like, hey, it feels like he is really good at helping the kids act their age rather than act like an older version than they are.
Or too young. I feel like some child actors, sometimes you're like, wait, you're 11, you're acting like a 7-year-old. But yeah, these kids definitely all feel... Because yeah, in Boy, I think he is like 11 or 12. Hunt, he turns 13. And then Jojo Rabbit, he says he's 10 and a half. So they're all like roughly at that same cusp of what am I supposed to do now? Because you're kind of, you're no longer treated like a little kid at that point, usually.
And then What We Do in the Shadows, there's a 6-month-old.
What We Do in the Shadows is a lot of grown children.
Yeah, well, a 6-month-old vampire, but hey.
But yeah, so you can take this question however you want. This one is a bit of a different one with how we've talked about other movies. How much did you root for the characters?
The imaginary character I've sorry,
I have to leave.
He had some really good points. No. Sorry, I cut you off. What were you about to say?
I was gonna say, like, I think this is one of those movies that I really like because, again, I think the way Taika directs and like builds up his characters in movies feels like young adult novels I like, where I usually go in not liking anybody really, and then after the halfway point I go, oh, I didn't like these people, but I actually really like them, and I really want them to like be able to figure things out. Not everybody in this movie, right? Like the small handful of what I would call like the main cast, and then by the end I'm like, man, they didn't deserve that. Granted, historically, like, there were some moments where Johan's mother would do things, and I'd be like, I don't think you should do that. I don't think you should say that. But, yeah. What about you? I cut you off. I technically asked you.
Um, yeah, I even like I understand what you're saying, like how it's like the ideals, especially of the main character, it's like hard to root for them, but it's like I think the overall journey, like no, like seeing what they were doing with the Jojo and just his journey to understanding like how he's been trained and brainwashed and all that stuff, uh of just pretty much getting to that point, and just I liked his journey, and I also like how there was the people around him that didn't seem like they were looking out for his best interest, and then kind of you learn, like especially near the end, which I'm not pretty sure, I know we're gonna get into, just yeah, like kind of the
They
healed
did what,
certain.
yeah, they did what they could within their means, I guess.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's like it at the beginning of the movie, it's not very clear of that, and then there's a very clear scene where it's just like, oh, okay, and that makes it very obvious of where this character stands with the whole German occupation and hunt against the Jewish people, but there's in reflection, there's hints of it earlier as well. But yeah, it's but I did like the characters. I think the only character that I can say that I was always glad to see come on the screen was Yorkie.
Talk about a comedic relief character.
I know.
Yeah.
It was just every time he came on, I just Grant was just like, Yorkie, Jojo, and they would just run up and hug. It's just
Like, I can't say that I rooted for Yorkie, but I can't say that I like disliked Yorkie.
I don't think I rooted for him. I was just glad to see him. It was just like I was.
Hey, a kid acting like a kid.
Yeah, he was just like, hey, Jojo, and then it was just like, it reminded me a lot of not Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, where there's that whole other group of people that are the actual protagonists of the story that they keep bumping into, and they're just like, oh yeah, we did this, this, and this. And that's what Yorkie is. He's just like, yeah, no, this is what it's like on the front line and how terrible it is. And while Jojo's like, what? No, you're wrong. This is how it's supposed to be. And he's just like, no. And, yeah, Yorkie is the cold water to wake up Jojo at certain points. But anyway, that's all I got.
So then, what grade would you give this plot?
I give it I always have a hard time when it comes to this, but I guess like a B plus, right in there.
Yeah, I think I land about the same, B plus or like an A minus.
Yeah.
I think compared to his other movies, I think this one has a more, not structured, but kind of like the way that the story develops kind of fits together, I think, better as a plot, rather than it kind of just like boy and hunt for the wilder people almost. And even what we do in the shadows, I kind of feel like streams of consciousness to me. Whereas Jojo Rabbit does kind of have like a clear like A to B kind of plot with, the obstacles in the way. And I know they put your favorite part in the film, so that's always important for you, I'm sure. The revolving time.
Yes, I noticed that. I was like, oh, okay. I like it better in Wilder People, but
it does feel a lot more lively, but it also makes sense in the context of these two movies of why they are pretty different. But yeah, I did like the plot for this one, and I think this one was also, if I saw correctly on the Wikipedia, that it's also based off of a book.
Yes, we looked it up.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Yes.
Yeah, Caging Skies by Christine Lunens. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right. She's a New Zealand author. Came out in 2008. So.
Okay. And then we have my final question for you. How likely would you recommend this movie to others?
I I would recommend it. I think this is another good jumping on point that isn't Marvel. I was curious. I was looking it up. This movie did come out after Thor Ragnarok.
Okay.
So it's interesting. Because I think all the other movies we watched came out before. And not that this makes it... this one, compared to a lot of the other films, has a lot more of a star-studded cast. Where it feels like, okay, you got them with Marvel, you got yourself proved, and now people are like, okay, here you go. Not saying that his other movies are terrible or whatever, don't deserve it, but anyway, I would still recommend Jojo Rabbit. I think it's a good jumping on point, and it's just, I think it shows his humor and his story crafting ability. And you can definitely compared to What We Do in the Shadows and Boy, where, as you were saying, the stream of consciousness kind of take, where it's just it's boom, 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 boom. Wilder People we get a little bit smoother train of thought, and then this one is definitely okay, from point A, the beginning to the end. I think that's the one thing. I think if I watched these movies and then went back to watch What We Do in the Shadows, I probably wouldn't score it as high in my mind as I do, because there's really not a lot of character growth in What We Do in the Shadows. It's just all goofy vampire shenanigans. While in this, there's a lot of character growth from a bunch of different people. Not unique character growth for a good story, but it does help. How about you?
Yeah, I think I would recommend this as long as people are willing to understand the way that the subject matter is being approached. Because I know there's a lot of people, especially with how things are currently politically, where if you say oh, this movie is about this, then they assume it's positive, and I have to be this... The beginning may look like it, but I promise it's not. I promise it's a movie about learning empathy and meeting people outside of your circles to better learn about them, and not just about the history or what it's like to be indoctrinated by all of it. I was also a little distracted because I was curious about the book, and so people were saying that I guess this movie, in comparison, seems to be based on the first half of the book and that the second half, a lot of people, it seems like people are the first half of the book that this is based on they really like, and the second half is disturbing and uncomfortable, and they don't know how to feel. So a lot of the reviews are really low because people are I get it, but also and it seemed like a lot of people also picked up the book because they're Jojo Rabbit's getting nominated for awards, and then they read the book and went, what the hell is this? So I don't know if I'll read the book myself. I don't know how much I can stomach if it is
I'll read it.
rough. Okay.
I'll read it and get back to you. There's no timeline on when I will actually get to it. So I didn't look up anything, so maybe if I take a peek into it, opinions may change.
Yeah, it does seem to be a little bit changed already from the beginning. So it says that the book, Johannes lives in Vienna, Austria. And I think, like you said, the movie takes place in Germany itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because a big plot point of it is the everything falling in Germany. But anyway, before I get too deep in the weeds of all that stuff, are you ready to take everybody to Spoiler Town?
Yep. Toot toot. I have the timer set up, and I'm going to hit it in 3, 2, 1. Ka-chow.
Turn back now if you don't want spoilers.
Too late. It's Spoiler Town.
Choo choo.
Hey, Miss Cryy Pants. You go first.
Wait, what'd you call me?
Miss Cryy Pants.
Cryy Pants. All right. I mean, I guess I can just get into that part.
I figured it was a good part, unless there was something else you wanted to talk about first.
No, it's fine. Well, Yeah, like kind of I alluded to it when we brought up the question of rooting for the characters. In the very beginning of the movie, we're introduced to the captain who is teaching the youth about what it's like, and I like that the humor immediately comes up where he's like, boys are going to learn about guns and learn about battlefields and learn how to do all these things, and women are going to get pregnant, and the girls are like, oh.
And then isn't Revel's character just like, I had 15
like
children
19 children, look at me now, and it's like but yeah, so yeah, we have that captain, and that captain has a lot of other things going on with the character that I don't want to read into because I don't know if I'm just assuming things. Like, I was getting that him and his assistant were a little bit closer than they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's the scene where they look like they're feeding each other, and then they always look embarrassed when they're caught by themselves. And then they also have the costuming event, and that was really fun for me to see them show up in full regalia, that it was totally not up to code. But yeah, yes. So we have that character. And in the beginning, he seems like kind of like a curmudgeon, because he seems very frustrated that he doesn't get to be a big war hero because, what did he say? He says, in a very preventable accident that I happen to be in charge of something, and maybe I did something that I could have avoided, but now I have like a missing eye, so now I'm here doing all these things instead of doing battle on the battlefield. So he already seems kind of like fed up. And you're like, oh, he just seems like he doesn't care, so he's going to be like a checked out character. And then he ends up giving Johan a job because of everything he goes through, and then slowly kind of like, it's interesting to see Johan go to him and be like, what happens if I see something and I feel like I'm supposed to report it but I don't want to? He's just like, I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear you tell me that. And you're like, why is he saying that? That doesn't seem like how he should be acting. And then we have the really tense moment where that's broken up by like the 7 minutes of greetings. But we have the tense moment where Johan is worried that him and his family are going to get caught, like you said, with someone living there that is supposed to be reported. And he helps by being the one to read her papers and letting her lie about it. She does not look like the girl in the papers, and also she mentioned she got the birth date wrong. And then later, when it kind of like starts to add up that he wants to take care of Johan and like sees him as like a kid and like as an actual person rather than just another kid going through the ranks, him ripping off the jacket and then doing the whole show of things, I was like, oh, he's so dead. Oh, he's so dead. And then you hear the gunshots, and I was like, all the adults in this movie just want to do the right thing, and this is what they get. I think that's why I finally cried to one of the movies, because they kind of like, the mom has the quote, like, they did what they could, or everything that they could do. And it's like, and she has the hints very early on that she is not aligned with Germany's current politics and things like that. But it was like, it's one of those things where it's that complicated feeling for me where it's like, I want to be able to be the person that if people ask, they know that I did everything I could to like help out the next generation. And then in the case of Jojo Rabbit, it's like, but the people that did do that had to face extreme consequences, but Jojo is a better person because of it. And I was like, these are a lot of feelings in my brain right now. Sad. Thankfully, Jojo did listen to his adults around him. Imagine if they did all of that and Jojo was like, no, I changed my mind. I'm going to be a little shithead. I would have been so upset.
Well, it looked like he was going to go that route for a little bit at the end. And then it was like, no, I can't.
Well, I didn't think he was doing it to be a little shithead.
Oh, yes,
I know.
Yes.
It was a different form of, like, he had already lost how many people in his life, and he's
everyone
like...
but Yorkie.
Yeah, his father is missing, and he was also told lies about his father. his mother was caught. His commanding captain sacrificed himself, and he's like, the only person I have left, technically. And I think, is it Yorkie? Oh yeah, Yorkie's the one that's like, she can go wherever she wants now.
Yeah,
and Jojo's like,
oh no.
yeah, he got his butterflies.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that Jojo also understood it was never going to be a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. Oh shoot! I just saw his name and then I lost it. I do not. Then I found it again. I'm like, I don't know how to pronounce that name. Hold on.
That's why I just keep saying Captain.
Captain, yeah. I'm just seeing if they had his first name anywhere. But yeah, it was interesting, like because like he was kind of fulfilling, whether Jojo realized it or not, kind of that father figure role for him. And then as the story continues, we see like, okay, the captain is just, he himself has to be careful because like he probably understands what his mother is doing, because he's like, no, I'm just gonna make us all do silly things rather than actually go follow down all these like kind of clues. As Jojo, being a 10-year-old's like, what about this? And he's like, kid, shut up. like like come on. and just all the different things. But yeah, I know, like the scene in the pool where he's just like, when he's like, oh yeah, you're writing a book, okay, that sounds cool, you should keep doing that, haha. And it's just like, and then he asks something, he's just like, how are you getting all this information? He's like, books. and the captain and his pal are just all like, uh-huh, yeah. And that's when Rebel's like, oh, it's true. Just like awkwardly slides across the whole
and she's
screen.
like, yeah, my uncle knew one once and it caused him to be addicted to drugs and gambling. They went, uh-huh. They're like, yeah, and then he did all this stuff that was terrible because he was mind controlled. They went, right. And then she goes, and then he, what was it? Did he kill himself or something like that?
He killed himself or killed somebody. He's like, but that's unrelated.
And they're like, thank you for your contribution.
Yeah. She just wants to be part of the group.
Constantly.
Yeah. Well, I found the quote. Hold on, where'd it go? Shoot. I just had it. And, oh yeah, you mentioned earlier. Today, boys, you'll be involved in such activities such as marching, bayonet drills, grenade throwing, trench digging, map reading, gas defense, camouflage, ambush techniques, war games, firing guns, and blowing up stuff. And the boy's like, yay! And then he goes, the girls will practice important womanly duties such as dressing wounds, making beds, and learning how to get pregnant. And then it's just like, I think one person was like, yeah. And that's when Rebel's character is just like, I had 18 babies for the Fuhrer. It's a great year to be a girl. But yeah, the other adult, I was surprised personally by Scarlett Johansson in this movie, mainly because I realized watching this, I only have seen her as Black Widow.
I've seen her in a lot of roles. I've watched Wedding Stories, the other major one that I think of. I've watched her, and she's the disembodied voice for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
I heard of it. I haven't watched it.
Like, I know she's in a Wes Anderson, but we didn't.
Yes,
Asteroid City.
Yeah, I know she's in a lot of different movies, and it's just, but like when you've, like, Marvel movies just took over so much of cinema at a certain time, that it was like pretty much my only introduction and portrayal of her was Black Widow, which I thought was a boring character for the most of the scenes I saw. I was like, she's a very tough character, but there's a lot of very tough characters, male and female, in the Marvel movies that are very boring. And I feel if anyone is a huge fan of the Marvel movies, I only watched up to Civil War. and that's when I stopped watching.
I think the last one I watched was Thor 2.
Yeah.
Unless the Guardians of the Galaxy was after that. I think I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. That's about when I
2
stopped.
I think came out shortly after Civil War.
But I didn't watch Civil War. Like, I watched one Avengers movie.
Yeah. I watched them because like there's a completely different thing. But yeah, I grew up reading a lot of comics and stuff, so I was excited for it, and then I just got bored. And then and then everyone was like, you know what? Did you watch the certain games?
Oh, I did technically watch one more recent. I watched the Captain Marvel movie, but I was on my friends got married on a Disney cruise, and they were like, "Oh my god, we get to watch the movie for free!" And me and Strider were like, "It's not free because the entertainment is baked into the whole." Just because you choose to go to the movie doesn't make it free. But in any case, back to what we were talking about. Yeah, Scarlett Johansson, I think she's a better actress than a lot of people realize she is. Because I think she gets a lot of roles where I feel like they don't let her act in. Because, like, what was it? What's the one movie that's, like, a really terrible concept? Is it Lucy, where it's like, I've unlocked 99% of my brain?
She has, like, yeah, it's the one where she's, like, she gets...
She gets mind powers.
Yes, but I'm trying to remember. I remember the concept of it. It's that's right. She gets taken, and drug lords put drugs in her stomach to get across the thing, but they didn't seal it up, and it like broke open, and that's how she unlocks 100% of her brain, which I think science has disproved, because if
you're always using 100%
yes.
of your brain. Yeah.
Yes, but anyway, I just remember watching clips of that, and it looked silly to me.
Yeah, but I think I think she's a very popular actress because people find her very attractive. So, like, there are movies, and, like, I watched Marriage Story, and I think she's a really great actress in that. But I think it's one of the few movies where they're like, you can cry ugly, you can be like a serious actress as much as you want. Whereas a lot of other films, they usually kind of, I feel, unfortunately for her, kind of like how you said, like, Black Widow feels like she's kind of just there. Like, I feel like she ends up like that because she will sell theater tickets. But she is a very complex character in Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. As I said, it was like when she showed up, I was like, okay. And then, like, seeing her go and, like, act, and just, like, I'm pretty sure, like, with the Marvel movies, she is friends with all of them, because you gotta be when you're doing
in the
movies.
Same movie, like, 10 times.
But oh my goodness, her not IMDb, her Wikipedia page is huge. I was trying to find the movies.
She's in a lot of movies.
Yeah. Because I know there was another one that I was thinking of that I knew I wanted to watch. Oh yeah, Lost in Translation. I remember hearing about Lost in Translation. I think that's the one where they're stuck in the airport in Japan. Yeah, her, and then anyway. Oh man, she was a director for only 3 movies.
I didn't know she was a director.
Her
Wikipedia also has a music career. Did not know that.
Yep. But anyway, everything in there. It's just I feel like a lot of people, as you said, she was pretty. She is pretty, like, attractive and all that. And then, like, the way she's portrayed, at least in early Marvel films, kind of, I feel like, got her typecast in a couple of other things. But I'm trying to find Hail Caesar. I think that I was watching clips of that.
I did watch Hail Caesar. I forget who she plays in that. But
I just saw it and I lost it. Deanna Moran. I don't know who that is. I'm like clicking the link. She looks like I don't know who she's based off, but it's like old Hollywood. But yeah, but anyway, I was just very surprised by by the her portrayal and everything, and just I think the moment that I was just like, I was like, oh yeah, like just not like awakened to me to be like, oh my goodness, she's a really good actress. But it was just like what I'm just like, oh my goodness, she could have been doing stuff like this instead of being Black Widow. Was when Jojo and her are getting into an argument over the dinner table, because this is right after he finds Rosie in the bedroom, and he starts getting snippy with her, and he's just like, what would your father say? It's like, I don't know, he's never here. And he's like, oh. And then she like gets up and then goes over to the fireplace and then gives herself a beard and keeps going back and forth between herself and the father. And it was like, that is a, don't know if that's good parenting, but it was an interesting scene where it's just like, how dare you talk to your mother like that, and then like would go back to herself, like whispering to each other in the corner, to where I'm like, is the dad her imaginary friend, like Adolf is Jojo's imaginary friend? So but yeah, it felt like that Jojo, like her portrayal of the mom, like not only cared and for Jojo now, but for him to wake up from his fanaticism, and to the point where we get a peek of that in there. So
Yeah, her speech to the girl that she's helping, I felt so like sad for her, because she's like, somewhere in there's my son who loves cake and loves dancing and loves music, and how, like, you know, and then she also has the moment. I was kind of sad that we didn't get to learn more about the sister Inga, but I'm also okay with not knowing more about Inga, because it kind of, there's a lot of ways that bad things could happen in that time period of history.
yeah,
But it was kind of like kind of a neat monologue to see her talking about, like, what's Elsa. Seeing Elsa survive is in a way for her to be able to have a chance to have a daughter again, and that Elsa surviving is also kind of like, even if you feel like you're not doing much, it is an act of rebellion to be able to prove them wrong and things like that. And that, I know, what was it? Because, like you said, it's right after they see each other that even Elsa's like, what if you could have just, like, told him about me so then you guys don't have to stress out? And she's like, well, I how much does it suck that I can't trust my own son? And it's like, there's a lot of layers. There's a lot of layers here. But speaking of her character, the moment that I said that I was surprised that she would do it in public is when they were out by the river and she was reminiscing about how times used to be. And then is like, you need a dance because people that are free get to dance. And then, you know, kind of being very outwardly spoken about how she feels about things. And in my brain, I was like, there's a lot of people that could be listening and you can't tell. A lot of those people would be glad to report you about what you're saying. But that was a very sweet moment of her, like, by the river where she ties his shoes together and is trying to get him to act like a kid again. Her little joke, oh, are you drunk? Falling over your own shoes.
Yeah. And then, because at that point, that's when she explains, like, it's like butterflies in your stomach. And he's like, gross. Like, and he's like, yeah. Like, yeah, true. And then she says, both her and Elsa say a line. And he's like, why do people keep saying that? And he's like, who's been telling you about love? And he's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's like love is pain or something like that. Because Elsa has her locket of who she's been holding on to as well. Those parts also almost had me crying when the later letters, because he has this moment where he doesn't know how to be honest, so he uses, what was her
Robert?
guys? Is Robert the name of the... I thought it was like Hans. Or... Was it Robert? Robert seems like a boring name for the guy that she was obsessed with. Sorry.
It's okay. I can look it up while you share. Nathan.
Yeah, but
Nathan.
Nathan, okay. But yeah, I thought it was interesting how his first letter where he goes to the effort to read Rilke, I forget how to pronounce it, but the poetry, to be able to write a letter to say, I found somebody else. Don't look for me. Don't come to Paris because I have a hot girlfriend, but I'm unemployed and fat. And I was like, Jojo, what are you doing?
Yeah, and like the second, like the end is like, oh man, that first letter is like makes it so like you're like, okay, that was bad, but then it's just like, yeah, no, her reaction to that first letter is a whole lot more justified when you get to the end.
Yeah, where she reveals like, actually.
Yeah, and so, but it's, yeah, and then it was like it did make me laugh because that after that first letter, he does that, and then immediately his conscience is like, what did I just do? And he's just like, I'm just joking. All that stuff was a lie, but I'm still unemployed and fat. So please don't die.
Please don't kill yourself over me. Please stay alive. Eventually we can go to Paris. But it is very sweet at the very end where he has the letter and he's like, I've come up with a plan with Johan about how to get you into Paris so we can be married and live happily ever after. Like, you know. And then I also like how she's like, why did you do this? And he's like, I love you, but I know you only see me as a little brother. And she's like, I love you too. And she's like, yes, as a little brother. He's like, yeah, you're definitely too old for me. I get it.
Yes. So, but and so, yeah, it was like that whole interaction was just fun. Where like even the first time him and Elsa meet, just like the savage in the walls, just like it built it up almost horror movie-esque where he's like, what is in the walls? What is this? And then it's just
she even does the hand thing.
Yeah. And it's just like feet, and he just like starts freaking out, rightfully so. And at this point he's like still not able to walk well. And it's just, yeah, the creepy hand around the corner, and then her obviously just messing with him, just like, haha, this is funny. And then right as he's about to go outside, he's like, no. Yeah.
You're not, and then she warns him, she's like, if you tell anybody, you realize, like, you and your mom are in danger. And he's just like, I don't like this. Why would my mom do this? Why would she do this to me? But I thought it was a really interesting concept of the two of them bonding. And, like, she clearly always saw him as a human being, right? And she, from the very get-go, like, he tries to... let me back up a little bit. I know, like you said, like, Yorkie is, like, the cold water to Jojo. And it is funny because they're in the tent in, like, that first day of, like, let's call it youth camp. And... Yorkie's like, how would you even be able to tell anybody's different than you? And Jojo's like, oh, I know. I can tell. And then he meets her and he goes, all right, tell me all of your secrets. She's like, we're human beings. He's like, no, that's not right. She's like, yeah, I figured you'd say that. And then he, what was it? Draw for me where you guys live. And she draws his head. And he goes, what? This doesn't make sense. She's like, I'm clearly living there all the time, so I don't know how I'm wrong.
The old school version of living rent free.
Yeah, living rent free. And it was like, I don't know, it's kind of sweet to see their relationship build up where as he's asking questions, he's learning more about her. And by learning more about her, he realizes that all the stuff that he was forced to learn isn't actually true. So that's why I say, like, the movie is a great exercise in watching people learn empathy. And unfortunately, In a lot of circles, the only way they can do it is by meeting people outside of their own circle, but then they refuse to meet people outside of their own circle. Jojo was forced to do it in a lot of ways, but also his curiosity led him to... Because he thought he was going to be the next best writer. He was going to give the book to his best friend. And poor Yorkie was like, I thought I was your best friend. He's like, second best friend. There's always space for one more person. and Yorkie's like, okay. Even Yorkie is like, you're never gonna meet him.
Yeah.
Yorkie's reaction, like Yorkie's delivery at the ending, where Jojo's like, I gotta go tell the man in charge, and Yorkie's like, oh, he's gone.
Yeah.
We're by ourselves now.
Yeah.
He's like, what do you mean? And he flatly tells him the truth. And Jojo's like freaking out, and Yorkie's like, yeah, duh.
Yeah. Well, like, it's the difference of someone that has been in the, like,
in the worst
in
of
the
it.
trenches, and
as an 11-year-old.
Yeah. In his paper armor.
Him running around with a rifle taller than him. And Jojo's like, this is yours? And he's like, yeah, I'm on the front lines now. And Jojo's like, you're 11. And Yorkie's like, yeah. Mm-hmm. But the other part you mentioned, like Yorkie running out to hug Jojo, but he's carrying the missile and it just drops it.
Just blows up a building. And he's just like, hey Yorkie, oh hey Jojo, drops it, boom.
And then he's like, oh, could you help me carry the rest of this ammo? Mm-hmm. The other scene, like there are a lot of scenes in this movie that made me laugh more than I expected. One of them being that one. The other one that made me laugh a lot was when he had the ultra special mission, kind of showing like where Germany was really low in resources, because a war is very draining on a country, and I think a lot of people forget that. But yeah. Where he's like, I have a very special job for you. You put on this costume, and it's all the kids asking for scrap metal to be used to be able to make things to be used in the war. And at first, Jojo's by himself. And then there's 3 kids.
Yeah. There's just 3 of them, and then Yorkie shows up.
All in their different like robot costumes, shouting, like one of them's asking for pots, one of them's asking for like screwdrivers, like they're all asking for different forms of scrap. But yeah, Yorkie ends up like getting distracted because he sees his mom up to different things. That was really funny. You and I kind of talked about the one scene where it feels like 30 greetings happen in 5 minutes of them all saying the same phrase, because the I'll call them military police, because I'm slipping on how to say the actual word, but the military police show up because they get reports suspecting Gestapo? His mom. Yeah, they get reports suspecting his mom, and they show up, and it's like, even though it's like a 10-minute scene, it feels like 30 minutes of them just going, basically, hey, but in worse terms. And everybody has to say it to each person in the room. Yeah, just like... And then like it's really funny and all that stuff, and then Elsa has to say it. And it's just like... uncomfortable. It shifts so much, where she's just like... struggling to say it, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay. Yeah, on one hand I felt so bad for her that they found the book, but at the same time I'm like, thankfully they got distracted by the book, so then they didn't question things beyond the book. But no, like the other moments that made me feel sad for the characters is like, you can tell she was using humor to cope with everything she hears said about the people around her. Because she'll do the, like, what was it? He asked, where's your devil horns? And she goes, oh, they grow in when I turn 21. And he's like, draw it for me. And she has all the drawings and depictions of all this stuff about it. I do like they get towards the end of the book, though. And they go, who's Nathan? Why are we putting Nathan on a spit roast? Yeah. Why are we crushing Nathan with a big bicycle wheel? Why are we hitting Nathan with all this stuff? She's just like, a boy.
Yeah. And it's just like... And, like, we don't understand, like, because at that point, we're made to believe it's just like, oh my goodness, how dare he say all these things, which is just like, up to that point, we noticed, yeah, he's just all upset because, like, he has a crush, his first crush, and she's already betrothed to somebody else. and then it's like that the last like opening of the thing where she's like looks at the last letter he reads about, hey, we're gonna have an escape plan, and the letter's blank, and she's tells him the truth, like, no, he died before the war with tuberculosis, and he's like, you knew the whole time that I was lying? He's like, yeah, but it was nice, it was sweet, except for the book. But,
yeah, and I think the that part was nice. I also wanted to just make a comment because I feel like we're gonna start running out of time.
We just ran out of time.
Okay. I was gonna say I like that there's basically a music video in every one of his movies.
Yeah.
This one was the very end.
Yes.
There was some dancing throughout, but no, that I think it was a very sweet ending where they don't talk, they just kind of honor his mom in their own way.
Yeah. It was pretty neat. Just seeing all that, and just how everything kind of came together in this story. And then it's just like it's just, I think the other thing that kept cracking me up, which we don't have to go into, but it's like every time as one of, I don't know how, I was about to say how someone describes this man, but I'm like, I don't know how the public likes that TikToker anymore. So I'm going to be like, with Adolf, with every time we see it, we always think, at least for me, I think of the famous lines of him just going 9999, or just like other, like him very serious. But I don't think I'm ever going to get Taika's portrayal of Adolf out of my head whenever I look at stuff
in the future.
Yeah. Which, I don't know, it all works, but I found like the whole interactions, like the beginning kind of goes like, I'm like, how loud is my TV?
Just to make sure. Yeah,
and there's just like, say how, and just like, what? And just like, what, are you crying? What? Or just and like he's just screaming and running down the street. But then, so like how their friendship, like, was all portrayed in his head, and he's just like, I don't trust. Like the whole thing was like, I think you need to go and pretend to be friends with that girl, and then get all the secrets out of her. And then later in the movie, he's just like, he's like, oh, this is totally not working. What's going on? Like, you gotta report her right away. That, like, this is a dumb idea. He's like, this was your idea. You're right. It was my idea. So, like, that whole thing. And then I think it was like near the end where his imagination is getting jealous that he is spending more time with Elsa than he is with him. Like where he's like laying in his bed. He's like, oh, sorry. Is things awkward? Is things awkward now? I'm sorry about that. Forgive me. And then he, like, because that's also when food is getting short, like, or later, like, food's getting low, and like Jojo is having a hard time having food to eat, and it just shows him like picking at like soup, and then Adolf is sitting there with a giant pig's head made out of cold cuts, just slowly eating in front of him. He's like,
well, they made it into a unicorn because he believed in like he believed in a lot of fantastical stuff, so I thought that was funny.
Yeah, so there, it was fun seeing all that. Let's see. I guess before we close, I'm trying to see if there was any like trying to see if there's any fun quotes in here. I know there's a ton, but someone's just speaking about Adolf's like, let them say whatever they want. People used to say a lot of nasty things about me, like, oh, this guy's a lunatic, look at the psycho, he's gonna get us all killed.
Yeah, I think I liked how the humor was also randomly subtle. Like some of those moments were like really in your face about being funny. The one that I kept thinking about after the movie was over is how they mentioned clones for literally like 1 second, and then they end up being a big part towards the end of the movie. Did you notice that?
Sorry, I missed part of that. Sorry.
I was saying that I like that the humor ends up being like kind of subtle. Like in The Office, they mention like you could go take the clones for a walk.
Yes.
And then at the very end of the movie, you have the Fraulein where she's like sending the clones out to do things. And I was like, oh, it's the kids. And then I think behind Jojo at one point, all of the clones like appear around him.
They're just like, oh. Yeah, they're. Oh, that's right. When Yorkie, one of the conversations with Yorkie and Jojo, where they're just like, he's like, yeah, I have a Jew trapped in my house, and he's like, oh, okay, and Yorkie's like, it's like, oh, I guess I shouldn't tell you this. There's bigger things to worry about than Jews, Jojo. There's Russians out there. They're worse than anybody. I heard they eat babies and have sex with dogs. I mean, that's bad, right? They're just like,
that's why they want to take over our country. They want to do all that stuff to all of us. We got to get to them first. I was like, oh my goodness.
And it's just like, Joe's like, what, sex with dogs? And he's like, yeah, the Englishmen do it too. We have to stop them before they eat us and screw all our dogs. And it just like, Yorkie's whole delivery is just like, yeah, I don't know. Just like, whatever. I'm just scrolling this through to see if there's anything. The whole thing with knives, where it's just like, where he keeps trying to hunt down Elsa, and it's just like, he gets the first knife that he's never supposed to leave, and there's that, and then he gets the kitchen knife, and then there's like, where Hado's like, and now she has 2 knives, and then later Rosie's just like, where are all the knives? Just like, there's
very subtle things. So something interesting, I was looking through the casting where like a lot of people, it says that we're casting it, we're like, I don't know if I want to do this, but then they saw, like, when they really paid attention to the script, they liked it. I don't know if you recognize him, but the one who plays the head of the Gestapo is a comedian, and I've seen him a handful of times on other things. But apparently when he joined the casting, he said that when he read through the script, the satire in it reminded him of Dr. Strangelove. We did also really like that movie.
Yeah, especially that whole section. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
But yeah, we are running a bit over. So do you have any?
Yeah, but no.
Have any final thoughts?
It's a fun movie, and I enjoyed your birthday month with Taika. Last name I keep butchering.
Thank you. I'm glad that it was fun. I also enjoyed your birthday month. Lots of punching. I wish the latter parts of the series were a little bit more thought through. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Hey, the first half was really good. Hey, it was better than the other movie that we constantly bring up that I didn't remember anything about.
In fairness, you did not watch 4. So
yes.
You had no clue how that one was going to go.
Yep. And with that, birthday months are now over. Well, by the time it releases.
But yeah,
your
so
actual
next up,
birthday still hasn't happened.
Shh, secrets. But yeah, so next month, tune in next week as we start in with our next new director, our 6th director of the series, Akira Kurosawa. And we will be starting with Rashomon.
I don't know anything about these movies, so it's going to be fun.
That's okay.
Yep. To be fair, I don't know a lot of things about... I think the only month is August where I will know the majority of the movies. So, anyway.
Yeah, I'll leave September for you to sort out.
Oh, okay. I need to go, what is it? Do they kill the dog or does the dog die? Whatever that site you told me about to make sure.
Oh, I mean, if you just give me the heads up, as long, like...
I haven't... I don't know if I've seen a lot of his movies, but I know there's some that have been on my list. But anyway...
I was just going to say, you warned me before most of the movies, so I at least have my time frame to look away from the screen.
Yeah. This one was very easy to have the time frame.
It was very built up.
Yes. Yeah. But anyway, thank you everyone for watching and listening. Let us know what you think about Jojo Rabbit or Taika in general. And yeah, we will talk with you all next time. Doodles.